All right, we're back after a short break. Technical difficulties. No, we were talking about Danica landed back in Klamath, so we're gonna get right back into that. And before I forget, did you or at what point did you ever track down your mom, your biological mom?
So I was about 21.
Okay.
A few years where I just kind of did my own thing, and then one night, a couple of my friends were hanging out. Late into the morning, we watched like a documentary on this girl that found her mom. It was like a reconnection story. And that they found each other. The mom had cancer and like died like 2 months later, and the girl just was like, "I wish I would have like found her sooner." And like one of my friends was like, "Dani, do you ever think about your mom? Do you ever think about Oregon?" And I was like, in the mindset for my whole life, I was just like, "Fuck that place." Like I'm never going back. Like that chapter closed, that book closed. I never wanted to relive it again. It literally was like it was a different life, like.
This is Pacific Northwest.
I know, but it stole my heart. I just came back and I never went back to the East Coast. So when, I was like, no, I don't think so. I think I like my life here. That was a part of my life I want to forget, And my friends knew that and they didn't really press it. But my one friend was like, "Dani, but like, what if your mom's clean? Like, what if your family has been looking for you?" Because like in your head as like a kid, you're like, they don't give a shit. They don't care. Like they obviously made their choices. We're all moving on from it. And I think you have that fear of like, what if they didn't, or like, what if they don't care? Like, for real.
So kind of like he said, if they did care at some point, they would have found you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They would put that effort in. And they were like, what if you don't know? Like, what if they have been trying? Right. My name had changed. I had taken on a new middle name, last name. I didn't have social media. This was back in 15 years, like 10 years ago now, that like it wasn't as amped up to like just go on your phone and find people. So we as a group were like, let's just Google her name. What was her name? That was her name. Same thing. People Finder came up, found like who she could be related to under that. And it showed like my grandparents, my aunts and my uncles, and my dad's name, and then a guy who was my stepdad.
People you didn't even know?
Though that I knew of. Because like through foster care, I had visitation. Oh, okay. So my family kind of on their, would come visit. I'd go back to my foster home once a week. It was every Thursdays at a visitation center. Whether they came or not, I didn't see my dad a whole lot. My mom, it was when she was clean and you had to piss test, you had to have a pee test. But for sure, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and those are the people that are still like super close with me.
That's cool that you guys all stay.
Yeah. So that's who I ended up like. My friends on the East Coast were like, "Dani, you just go for it." We ended up finding all these names. I kind of like started creeping on my stepdad, who's the father of my two younger siblings who were adopted. So I was like, maybe they got married. So I Googled his name and it came up with a MySpace page that was like open, unlocked. You could view it to your pleasure. So I started creeping on the pictures. And in the pictures, there was a picture of a wedding and a lady that looked like my mom. So what I remember, my mom was a petite, small, she was an addict. So like you tend to be on the smaller end. And in these pictures, this lady is a lot bigger. And I'm like, kind of looks like her, kind of doesn't. And then I see a comment on one of the wedding pictures, and it's the username was "I'm Lady Trey." My mom's name is Tracy. So I was like, I'm gonna click on this MySpace and see what it takes me to. It goes to her profile. I go right to the pictures. I'm scrolling through. I see pictures of the same wedding that I saw in the other profile. I see a picture of flamingos. So as a kid, when I lived with my mom up until I was 5, she was obsessed with flamingos. So we had like the fake flamingos in the front yard. I just remember that being a thing. That's weird. And I was like, okay.
Now kids remember
yeah. I instantly was like, that looks like my mom maybe, but then I saw the flamingo and I was like, and then I went more and then I saw a picture of my brother Kyle, the one that stayed in Klamath, that was never adopted. And I was like, that's my fucking brother. Like, this is her. And then I realized that I was searching the wrong last name, got back on Facebook, searched her married name, found her profiles, like pretty much you couldn't see anything on her page, you could just see her friends list. And I shot her a message, just in the dark, basically with a basic like, "Hey, I'm your daughter," don't know, like stupid, don't know if you know me, but or care to know, but just reaching out. I didn't hear anything, and I took that as like a slap in the face. Like, they don't want anything to do with me. That door is closed. Move on with your fucking life, Dani. Everything you believed is true, you know?
Sometimes you gotta approve a message request, though.
True. And then someone pointed out, your mom's like in her 50s, right? She's probably not like on Facebook a whole lot. She's, you know, there's gotta be another way. So I knew her new name. I used yellow pages, operators, literally old school ways of like, this is the person's name. Do you have a home address? And it kept this phone number kept going, and this address kept going back to my grandparents' house that I was pretty much raised in. I was like, no, it can't be that address. It can't be that same fucking phone number. They can't live in the same house my grandparents lived in while we were growing up. That was like a safe haven too. Like, I was just like, that'd be so crazy. And then I called one day and someone picked up and they were like, hello? And I was like, hi, is Tracy there? And they were like, no, who is this? And I was like, I like stuttered and I was like, I just need to talk to Tracy. And they were like, don't ever call this phone number again. I hung up. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna not pursue that. Maybe it's the wrong number. And then I did more research and I was like, everything's fucking coming back to this address and this phone number. And then one time I called and I went to like an answering machine and said, this is the voicemail of Michael and Tracy Cooper. And that was like my mom's name and my stepdad's name.
She thought you was a bill collector.
I don't know.
She's like, no, don't
you
ever
know,
call her.
The car warranty shit.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just was like, dang, throw the balls to like say the words on the phone, but I couldn't. And then I don't know how we got to like go on her Facebook again and look at her friends list. I went on her friends list. I saw my aunts and my cousins. So my cousin and I we're best friends now to this day. Like, we're 4 months apart. I saw her name on the list. I was like, I'm gonna shoot her a message. She'll probably get a message before my mom will. So I said, same message, hey, this is your cousin. I hope you remember me. I'm trying to get a hold of my mom. Can you help me? And then like, it was like a message I sent at 2 p.m., like 2 a.m. East Coast time. I wake up like 3 hours later to Bailey, my cousin, being like, what the hell? Yes, I am your cousin. We're trying to get a hold of your mom. Like, is this fucking for real? Like, everyone's just like kind of losing it. At this point, it had been like 15, 16 years of like no contact at all. Like, literally, we got on a plane one day and fucking left, you know? Like, no one knew what the fuck happened. And everyone was blaming everyone in the family and hurt and sad and distraught when like they realized like there was no chance we weren't coming back. My cousin was like, I literally have grandma and our aunt right here. And I remembered that. Like, they visited me. Like, they took care of me as a kid. Like, at one point, my aunt, cause my cousin and I were so close in age when my mom was using or whatever, my aunt had one baby on each boob to make sure that I was getting the nutrients and the food I needed. And that opened the door. I found my mom. Like, a month later, they flew me out here to, like, re-meet everyone. I was still living in Pennsylvania, working, going to school, kind of like in a relationship.
How old were you?
I was 21 when I came back. And then 23 is when I jumped on a plane and was like, let's fucking do this. I want something new. I moved out here. In a month, I got hired at Dutch. I've been at Dutch ever since. I kind of grew up in my 20s working there and like finding myself after like.
So with all this trauma and just fucking madness going on, you know, like it sounds like you had like a short stint of some solidarity, you know, solid family life and with your foster home and stuff, but it's just like a roller coaster shit. Blows my mind that you never fell into drugs, especially coming back to Klamath.
Yeah.
You know, like that's wild. And I know relationships have a huge part in keeping each other sober and stuff like that. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about how you guys met.
So pretty funny. I love this. I love this. So
Oh,
I'm great. So it's funny because still living in Reno, Nevada, I decided to make kind of a new situation too.
Do you have any family here?
No.
Okay.
So I have no.
You do now.
Yeah, of course.
That isn't crazy.
And so no family here, but the crazy thing is like I got into reconnection with my foster mom one day. And I don't know how this came about, but she called me and got my number. And she's like, hey, what are you doing in life? and I was working at this place called Petro, and it was for.
This is the military lady?
Yes.
And
She's
tracking you down now?
She tracked me down.
Wow.
And so I was working at this place called Petro, and it was for working on semis, like making sure the brakes are good, whatever, changing out the small minor parts is what I did. And I ordered parts for them. But I told her exactly what I was doing, and she's like, how much are you getting paid per hour? And I was all like, oh, I'm getting paid right now $13 an hour. She's like, you come up here and work on this ranch that we just bought, and I'll pay you $15 an hour. I was like, God, sign me up, please. I want to get out of Reno so bad. And I was like, where is it? And she was like, it's in between Medford and Clinton Falls, a little place called Eagle Point. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. So I drove up, got here, and we lived out in the sticks. It's called Little Butte Creek Road.
I know exactly.
So
that whole area.
yeah, so the Little Butte Creek Road out there, and they bought this piece of property. We like go out there, no cell phone reception. There's nothing, no internet, nothing. And when I got out there, it was just me and my foster brother Kyle, and he was like the large and in charge guy of making sure everything was getting done. And so I was working out there for a long time, and out of nowhere, we're like, hey, we need some sort of like entertainment out here. So he called up a satellite place for internet. So it was satellite. Like this was like back in the 90s using AOL dial-up, like it was such slow internet, and we were living in 2017 at this point. And I was like, man, this is horrible. So we only had internet on this one spot, just one spot of the property. And
huge property.
And it's a huge property.
It's
So
like
if we're out and about, you have nothing. There's nothing. And so I downloaded Snapchat, downloaded Tinder, because it was just me and my brother in farming.
He's all hiding over in the corner of the field.
Yeah.
Okay,
Turn around.
Don't look at your phone.
Turn
Turn
around.
around.
What corner of the field are you in?
This is
Like
my
a
corner. This is my
satellite.
corner. But anyways,
You over there?
it was funny. So we're out in there, just out in the middle of the sticks, and swipe right, swipe left, swipe right. And nothing ever came of it. I didn't really pursue Tinder. I really didn't, because no one is going to believe my story of living out in the middle of the sticks with AOL dial-up type internet. Like if I don't talk to somebody right then and there, they lose that like whole attention on you. Like if you're trying to get into a conversation with someone and it takes you 4 hours to reply back to them, they're like, oh, he's a fuckboy, or oh, he's just playing with my emotions. And so,
She go fast.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, but
Yeah.
They're fucking goats.
right. And
Literally
so,
sent me Snapchat of goats, and I'm like, you are who I want.
and so like I literally just one day come back and we're making lunch, and all of a sudden notifications are going off on my
peanut butter
phone.
jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, peanut butter, one of hers. And
I still love peanut butter jelly sandwiches, okay?
and it's funny, a notification popped up on Tinder, and it was all Danica. And I was like, oh, who's this? And it said, hey, with a smiley face. And I was like, well, I'm gonna try
I
it.
did send the first message, girls. You can send the first message.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, she said, hey, with a smiley face. So I said, what up? And just went back to work.
Okay, first of all,
What drew you to him?
yes, his profile was hilarious. Like, I will admit, like, at first, physical attraction, I wasn't there 100%, but his profile.
Because he didn't have a beard.
Yes, he didn't, Josh. He really didn't. Beards are everything. But that also grew on me after a while. But his profile made me laugh. He said something about like being ranked by Miss America. In quotation, it said you'd be dumped if you swiped left or something. And then he was like ranked by another like Mila Kunis, like had a date with him, and like it was just like it was funny. It was like he wasn't trying too hard. You could tell he smoked weed.
Yeah.
I was like.
Made you laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when and at the time my cousin and I were also in the same boat of Tinder, and we were like, this is a game, this is hilarious. Like in a way we didn't take it serious. My cousin to this day, she jokes with Mike that like, dude, you're the first one that got her attention long enough. Like, thank God you came around, because I was tired of like trying to keep up with her like flavor of the week almost. Like she just was like,
Because
no.
he made you smile.
He did.
That's
It was
so
genuine.
important. I see you guys like make each other laugh.
Yeah,
Which is
like literally best friend. Like I was like just asking for the universe to put someone in my life that could like we could feed off of and like knew my story, like know who I am, and not make me feel like.
Okay, so you're messaging back and forth
Yeah.
on Tinder.
Yeah, and it was crazy because like again, like we get into a few messages, and she was all like, I told her about my circumstances living on the ranch. I was like, hey, just to let you know, I have no cell phone reception. I have AOL dial-up type internet. I was all like, you're not gonna hear from me for like hours at a time. And I was like, I'm gonna just be straight up with you.
And
I
this
was
is all
trying
on
to-
Snapchat.
I was
by
just
the way.
trying to, like-
we switched from Tinder only probably like 10-minute conversation before he's like, can I have your number? And I was like, I don't do numbers, bro, but here's my Snapchat. And then we continued the conversation on Snapchat, and he's like, I'll probably only get to talk to you like once a day, like while I'm eating, because we get the satellites in like the house that has the kitchen, but it's not in the same house that I sleep in. And I'm over here like, the fuck do you live, bro? Like, you know, I, on the other hand,
You're like, this
at
motherfucker
Dutch
lives on
Road,
the
where I'm
somewhere.
communicating with people all day, every day. That's my love
Gotta make
language.
it back to the library for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, like literally, I was like, and he had to like,
And the top of the
he
Wi-Fi.
knew he had to like prove it too, because he was sending me Snapchats of the fucking goats in the ranch and the chickens and like the houses they were working on and like the mass amounts of the grow that they were working with. I was like, okay, I'm gonna. But was it hard for me to like wait by a phone all day and like, is this guy interested? And even just that, because you clicked right away with the conversation where within a few minutes he was like, what brought you back to Klamath? And I was like, oh, kind of long story. I was adopted. Oh shit, you were adopted. And that was like, whoa. And then you were like, I want to talk to you.
Right.
It's not just like, send me a picture of your tits.
I mean, that helps.
I don't know, because you don't.
Especially when you're on the ranch.
Exactly. That is
Hey.
like, straight up like you be on Tinder and you open a message.
I'm at work here.
And they're like, it's just a dick pic, and you're like, totally didn't ask for this. What's your name, bro? Like, it's just a crazy world out there. Some people were trying to wipe
So write your name on your dick before you send
Right,
it out.
introduce yourself.
I'll take
And
But
I can
our
tell you, I
conversation
never
was
sent
so
it.
deep at first that I was like, okay, he's worth getting to know. I was like traveling to Eugene and back every weekend working odds and games for Dutch Rose. He was on the ranch. I think within a few months we finally, like a few weeks, we finally like, let's meet. He was like, I got weed. You know, I want you to try some of it.
Mating
Let's
call.
let's hang out and
Smoke
smoke.
signals.
It was a smoke sesh. It was a hangout. He came over, hung out with like the roommates. It was totally chill. And he was like, I kind of was like told Beta, I was like, dude, I think he's way attached. I think that I need to like make sure he doesn't get attached, because I wasn't in a place to like be in a relationship. I didn't want a relationship. I was pretty good with where I was, and I had been telling him like, dude, you're fucking awesome, but like let's just be friends and like do like you can come over and hang out and smoke, and like months of this. And he asked me to be his girlfriend at one point, and I was like, I love talking, but there were moments of like I did kind of lead him on, because when he was around we would kiss and we would be super affectionate, but it was so hard for me not to. I was in denial. I was in denial because I was like so in love with his heart and who he was. Yes.
Like after all the
Yeah.
abandonment issues and shit.
Yeah, and all the deep talks that we had about our childhood and like what we wanted in life is literally just to like go forward, start a family, like, and that was the biggest thing that I loved about him. He's if you know Mike out there and you guys have, like, he's the most positive, optimistic. No, at first it's like annoying. We're like, is this fucking real? Is this kid always like this? And that's why I was like, no. And my like everyone around me was kind of like, he's way too good to be true. Like this kid is way too positive, way too like it doesn't
I'm
make
falling
sense.
in
Like,
love now.
you know, like people I go to like when he worked at Dutch and I go through the stands and like see the crew interacting with him, and like, people reaching me like, Mike, you're my fucking, they call him dad. They like you know, it's just like he's like a role model for people, and he
Awesome.
speaks like truth to people, and he's not fake. People sense that. Once I was like, what are you doing, Dani? Like, why are you like trying to literally block out something that you needed your entire life? Which in a way was like, I never had someone chase me. I never had someone like really want to be in my life more than like legitimately. He was like, you're telling me no because you're scared. Okay, I respect that. I'm still here. Like I'm not going anywhere. Like
He said, I'm just fucking sleeping outside.
yeah.
Don't
was
stop
willing
you.
to like.
I didn't want to go back to the fucking ranch with no internet.
No, that exactly. He pursued, and every day when like there were days when I'm like, fuck, I haven't heard from him for 12 hours. Like he's not interested. And then in the moment when we get time spent, like he'd travel a fucking snowstorm to drive over the mountain to come hang out in Klamath Falls. One time he got snowed in for a week because we got like 2 feet of snow, and I'm like, well, this is Mike, and my brother was visiting from the East Coast who was in the military, and I'm like, oh my god, you're being my brother. This wasn't supposed to happen. We're not serious. And then I invited him to a Dutch Rose Christmas party, and everyone was like, this is your soulmate. Like, the fuck are you doing, Dani? Like, he was out there. I kind of abandoned him for the night. I was nervous, and he made friends with everybody. He was out there on the dance floor, and then one of my good friends, Josie, was like, he's literally like your soulmate, Danny. What are you doing? And he asked me for the third and final time on New Year's Eve to be his girlfriend, and I was like, I'm doing this, but I'm still like, I'm going all in. Like, and then you learn about each other. And we learn like I think we fought one time. It's when the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, because I'm an Eagles fan and he's a Patriots fan, and we fought one time. And like any other stupid argument, like I have never been
Both
so
terrible takes,
comfortable.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about
We're not
football.
gonna talk about
Season's
football.
over. We're gonna let it. But that's, like we really genuinely like started on a really deep connection, realizing that like there's hope in each other. Like
Yeah.
there's kindness. Like he had showed me kindness and grace and understanding, and I think those are things that like you don't see from many people, but especially people when you hear their story and you're like, whoa, like we went through a lot, and like you put our stories together and you're like, you never think it, you never feel
You
it, and
think
we
those
don't
people
live
with
our
that type
life
of,
that
like,
way.
Tell us how this
That's
was.
why you're here.
Okay, so
Oh.
this is hilarious. So it was in the biggest ring box I've ever seen. It was like the size of her
Watch
leg.
box.
It was like necklace box when I showed up, and I was like, "What is this?" Like, she's gonna think it's gonna be this giant stone, and it's all.
I'm gonna carry this shit around.
So she is very simplistic. She doesn't like diamonds. She doesn't like sparkly things. She's like, hey, if I ever get proposed to one day, she's like, I just want a moon rock. And I was like, okay. So I like researched it. It was like the most cheapest stuff out there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. I don't have to spend like 10 grand on her. And so I ordered one that was like right up her alley, and of course came with diamonds, but there was no option not to have diamonds with it. So I was like, whatever. She likes rose gold, which is the most expensive gold out there.
I had to compensate for something.
So it finally comes in the mail, and I've been holding on to it. We had a roommate, and he lived upstairs from me, and I was like, hey bro, I don't want her to see this. Hide this in your until I say the day that I'm going to propose. He was like, cool, I'll hide it in my closet. You can trust me, blah, blah, blah. And so one day she comes home from work, and she's just had the shittiest day.
At this point, you're living in Cloud, right?
Yeah, so at this point,
You
I
guys
finally...
together?
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point...
I brought it from the ranch. I was like,
Nice.
You like bitch?
things like went separate ways there, where it wasn't working out living on the ranch and helping his family. And I was like, bro, come to Oregon, I think. And
She's like, I'll get you up on your feet,
Yep.
and I'll show you some
He got
paths.
an interview at Dutch without anyone, my bosses, my friends, literally only one person, Josie, knew that he was my legit boyfriend. No one else knew that we were together, who he was, and he got the job. Like, I was like, you have to get this on your own. Do I think you can get it? Do I think you fucking thrive here? Yeah, but I'm not going up to bat for you. And at the end of it, when they were like, well, let's hire this guy, finally, one of the girls was like, that's Danny's boyfriend. And everyone was like, why didn't she say anything? And I was like, I didn't want to like sway the decision. Like,
Yeah, like,
but
she wanted to see if I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. So,
Sink or swim, bitch.
yeah, so she comes home and
Oh,
she's
shit.
just distraught. She's crying, and like I can't get her out of this funk. Like I'm like sitting there and
You
listening
usually
to everything, and I'm like, just lay your day out on me, and I'm here to listen. And so she's just telling me everything, and I'm like trying to be there and be her support, and I could not get her out of this funk. So I go upstairs and I'm like, hey bro, it's time. And he's all, what? I thought you were gonna
You're a
say.
ballsy motherfucker.
He's all, I know.
After being
You were
turned
saving
down
it
all
for-
those times.
After all those
it's
times,
like,
I was
we're
like,
fuck
saving it for
this.
the next Christmas.
This is the
Yeah,
best
I was
time
waiting.
to
I
do
had
shit.
this all planned out. I told Dutch Bros that, next time we have our Dutch Bros Christmas party, I was going to do it right then and there, pull her up on stage,
That was like our
make a
first
scene out of it. But I was like, you know what? Someone was telling me, you know what? I can't pull her out of this funk, so I'm going to see if this will pull her out. And so I go upstairs and I'm like, hey, bro, give me the box. And he's like, no, like, you're going to wait until Christmas party? I was like, no, I'm doing it right now. And he's all, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. He's all like, okay, here you go. So I go downstairs and I just like kind of talked to her, and I was like literally easing into the proposal, and I think she felt it coming because I was like, hey, I know you're having a shitty day, and I am here, and I want you to know that I want to be here for the rest of your life. And anytime you have these problems, I always want to be your comfort zone, and I always want to be here for you regardless, through thick and thin. And she's like, okay. And so like I literally just get down on one knee and I pop the box open. I was like, will you marry me though? And she's all, well, Doug starts crying some more. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome story.
Yeah.
And then it's just been that.
Congratulations.
We've really only been together for like almost 4.5, 5 years. It's such a when you know, when you find someone you vibe with and who you're like dreams and everything are the same, and you're like, wow, you overcame shitty shit and are like a really positive person. I don't like victimization. I don't like the pity. I love hearing people's stories, but I think there's strength in all of that shit. I think you know, we always say like, you have shit and you either like take it and you like carry it around and let it make you smelly, or you like smear it on your body. Or you could be like, nope, I'm not gonna take it and I'm not gonna like let it make you stink. Like, I think
Flush it and wash your hands.
literally fucking sanitize that shit.
And the one thing that always helped throughout like relationships and like growing up in the foster care is that I never wanted someone to go through what I did, and I never want to put someone in that type of situation.
Are you pretty open with people about your past and your story?
Not really. I don't like to bring it out to have people feel sorry for me.
No.
And you know, like if people are really close to me and like friends and family, you know, like they do ask questions around holiday times, like, "Hey, where are you going for Christmas?" Like the 5 minute prayer, I was like,
you know,
I don't celebrate Christmas. Or, you know, like when I was in different relationships, those girls that I were with didn't understand either. They're like, all right, so what are you doing for Christmas? I'm going to be here. What about your family? I don't really have a family to go and hang out for Christmas time. And they were kind of like weirded out by it. And they're like,
Yeah.
What do you mean? You know, like, so just to understand that part with her and knowing that, like, what I was going through, she totally understood it and didn't think it was weird or anything. She's like, no, I totally get it.
And
Like,
family's a choice, you know. Family's not always blood, and like he only had out of our wedding, he had one brother come. I've only met his one brother. I've never met the adopted parents. I've never met.
She's never met any side of the family. And it's crazy
but family's what you pick, and like
Right.
my biological aunts and uncles and everything, they're not even, my biological mom's adopted. So my aunts and uncles and grandparents are not even blood to me. And people think my cousin and I are twins, and I'm like, that's funny. Yes, we're family, but like blood, I have no blood. The only blood I have is technically my mother, and like my siblings are all halves. And then with Mike, it's like almost the same. And that's where we're like, family's what you make it. And like we want a life better for that.
And you guys are gonna have one. You guys are gonna have this family, and like the way things have worked out in your life, the positivity that you both have, you know, like I really respect your patience. I think it's fucking awesome. And I know that you guys will have that family, you know, your family, and have a kid, whether it be by adoption or, you know.
And that's like always been my plan since I like started getting older, is like I want to take a kid. And I know everyone, when they look into adoption, which is sad to say, like they do mainly go after babies and, you know, like maybe like little kids. I want to get into somewhere where it's a kid almost in his teenage years, where he's already, you know, been through the ringer.
Maybe you should do some mentoring and stuff.
Yeah, and
I
I really
think
want to
that
just
you would be a
pull
good
somebody.
mentor.
I just really want to pull somebody and be like, hey, like, look, I know the similarity of your life,
Right.
and I want to see you do that.
And it help
There's like
help you heal too.
there's some programs out there that we've been asked to help with. Actually, we've gone over to the DHS and did like babysitting for the foster care parents. Got to go out for a night to dinner, and a group of like 20 of us Dutch Bros people went over and got to hang out with kids, and that was like, and it was so cool because we kind of had a movement in that. Because I reached out, one of my regulars at campus at the time worked there, and I was like, Anna, like I would love for Dutch to be more involved with DHS, and like we started doing the backpack drives, and like I think as a community it's shifted as like where our focus needs to go, because we know Klamath is, there's drugs everywhere, there's brokenness, there's like what is like the average person making, how much is it to live here, everyone is struggling, but I think those kids, we forget about those kids that literally like we think that they're safe because they're in a foster home, but what about all those like those social needs that those need, the psychological needs that need to be met, like physically are they being met? Okay, cool, they have food in a house, but what else is going on, and how they make them give them hope. I think hope is huge for kids that go through abuse, or even kids just struggling through going through a pandemic, you know, they're like distance learning and we can't touch each other and don't, you know, like we're like, we all need a little bit more hope in our life. Right. And I think if we could be like a success story for someone, or be like, hey, like that shit does not make you who you are. Or like, you know, you get to like write, you grab the pen back, you write the book, you know, you get dealt shitty hands, like you either how you play them, and it's all cliche shit that we hear every day. And that's why when we talk about like how we overcome great odds, it's like everyone does it in some sort of way. And I think if we always have a little hope for each other and speak that in each other's life, no matter what they're going for.
I agree.
And another
It
thing
doesn't
is-
matter like if your life's a silver platter or if you're homeless. Like I've seen the happiest people be homeless. Like I've seen gratitude from people who've lost the most. I don't think I literally am when I have people complaining or come to me and they want empathy. I'm there, but I'm also you gotta challenge them to like get out of that and be like, that's not who you are. That's not finding this moment. Like you're letting it
It's tough to do.
because it's
sometimes.
emotional. It's an emotional battle. It's a choice.
Well, it's easy to
You
play
know.
the victim too. You know what I mean? Like people, and that's people get hung up on that shit.
Yeah,
And
and
you
you're
hang
like,
on to that past and you try to make it define
You
you.
get more attention when you're a victim.
Right? And you get that sympathy that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh,
That's
I'm
what
so
I think
sorry.
about
People
like
like
your guys' story.
I'm a victim too.
and
Oh, 6 cents?
the one thing that I always strive off of throughout like this whole entire thing too is like you are with yourself 100% of the time, and you could let the past define you and play the victim card, or you can strive for greatness within yourself because no one else is going to do it for you.
Right.
yeah, we all have the opportunity to choose
You're gonna have to
good
do it
things.
for yourself. You know, you can have support systems that'll be like, hey, girl, you're doing it like right on. You can have good friends, you can have a good family, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to want it for yourself.
Great message. I think that's a good message to end this episode on.
It's time.
And
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your story. It takes a lot of courage, and I respect the shit out of both of you. Your story is awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
Thank
having
you
us.
guys.
Powerful shit.
Is there any social media handles or anything like that you want to plug?
Yeah,
at the end of
plug
the
your
show?
business.
Well, I mean, you know, buddy, we started a beard oil. It's called the Beardy Mikes. It's on Facebook and
We'll have it
Instagram.
in live canvas also.
Live
We'll have it in
canvas.
live canvas.
We got the Gentleman's Reserve, Sasquatch, and the Bangarang are the scents.
Bang, right?
Yeah.
I get down with that.
And then go drink Dutch Bros.
Go beer.
Dutch Brothers.
Straight Dutch Bros, straight tavern.
Make sure you guys head down to False Idol, check out all the DSA gear, next level gear, live cameras.
So we go buy some fucking socks.
Some motherfucking socks, I'm telling you. Make sure you guys check out here's beard oil, and thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Peace.
Don't forget to get a tattoo.
Oh yeah, it was a tattoo.
Schedule now.